So welcome to this month's Open Metadata Community Meeting here for July 2025. Thanks for attending. We've got a great schedule today, but before we get to that agenda, wanted to make a quick announcement at the top of the call. So here, joining us for this month's Open Metadata Community Meeting is one of the creators of Open Metadata and one of the founders of Collate, Harsha. So Harsha, if you could come in and share an announcement with everyone on the call.
All right. Thanks, Nick. Thanks everyone for joining. We are really excited with this series announcement, and we want to kind of talk about what it means for open metadata and open source community, right? So before I get there, I want to kind of refresh our memory on why we started open metadata and what was our goal and where we are at and where we are heading. So Suresh and I started Open Metadata back in officially open sourced in August of 2021, and that's a 0.3 release. Since then, we came all the way to 1.9 release. In between, there are 140 releases that went in. So amazing kind of velocity that we pushed into open source. So when we started, there are a lot of questions why we are doing this, what is the reason for this project, and why open source, right? To talk about like why we are doing this, right? So both Suresh and myself has been part of many big data projects in open source. So our roots are always in open source. We are creators of Apache Hadoop, Hive, Kafka, Storm, many popular projects, to name a few. So, and we also kind of led the data platform teams our our journey towards since we started Collate. So a lot of data problem that we have seen over the period of time motivated us to figure out how do we do better at metadata management, bring people together, teams together to do better at data. So we have built Apache Atlas as our first metadata platform back in HortonWorks days. This is an open source project. Then we went on to Uber. We faced a lot of data challenges. We addressed those, again, building a unified metadata platform to bring in not just data engineer, but analysts, business users, your data governance stewards, including legal, onto the same platform. We have seen amazing success with those platforms. And we thought, hey, these problems are appearing so many times. It is time for us to actually solve once and for all in open source. And when we started open source, we wanted to do it in a way that it's not vendor logged in. So we built open metadata standards. That is your JSON schemas that we started with, APIs. So anyone who is investing in or using an open metadata, that metadata format, that metadata APIs are owned by you. You are kind of free to take the data anywhere else. That's the foundation part of it. That is a goal to start off. The next set of the goal is actually to build a great UI to bring in non-technical users, technical users onto the same platform. So that's, and more importantly, there was never a platform that addressed both our three pillars of this platform, which is discovery, data quality, observability, and the governance together. So that's been our goal. We've been at it thanks to our team to push the open metadata to this far with an amazing platform that is turned out to be. And thanks to you, an amazing community coming in, day out, providing the feedback. And one of the foundational principles of our open source start is also, if you think of any other open source project, they have mailing list, people ask questions, there will be some support, but we wanted to change that. We want to be extremely focused towards helping community. And if you look at over a period of last 4 years, I think you'll find our response time on average 10 to 15 minutes on any support thread that any community member started. So we want you to come into the open metadata, be successful with open metadata, and be productive with your data. So that's been our goal from the community side point. So from an investment side point, what we want to do going forward, we want to increase the resources to help you out. And you can already see Nick coming in, helping us with the DevRel, managing the community. I'm sure you've been talking to a lot of new community members and having a productive conversations. Increase our support. There is so much we can do. I mean, 10 minutes is a great starting point. Many community members actually gave a great feedback that even their enterprise support in other platforms doesn't even come close to our open source support. So that's a testament for what we've been up to, but increasing more and more of that and, more documentation, more resources for you. And obviously we are kind of continue to push the product to the next level. So this is just a stepping stone for us to kind of push the product in open source along with the community to greater heights. So again, I thank you guys for the community. I thank our team to taking this mission towards this far, and we'll continue to be at it and end out. Thanks, Nick. That's it.
Excellent. Thanks for that announcement and for the exciting news. If anyone has any questions for Harsha or throughout any time during this presentation, please feel free to leverage our chat as we continue on with the agenda, right? So we just heard that Series A announcement. If this is your first time attending one of our community meetups, we typically start them with just a health check on the community, see how it's growing, who's committing to it, and how we'll speak to some of those support metrics that Harsha just mentioned and kind of give an overall view of the growth of open metadata. We have a community spotlight today. So Mustapha Fonsau of Talentys Data is going to be talking about his process with open metadata and how he really centralizes governance and makes that a key point of an entire environment that is driving a lot of transformational change within his client base. Then we'll hear from Teddy, a software engineer at Collate, talking about some updates to both data quality agents and then being able to run things like data profiling at scale and some new updates in Collate and in open metadata. Again, at the end or throughout this whole time, if you have any questions, please let us know. So some updates about open metadata. We had, since our last meeting, 11 new open source developers. That's quite high for the month, like compared to May, there was 5 new committers to open metadata, so over double that. Pretty healthy there. I think that I'm seeing a lot of people come in and have their first contributions. Obviously, 11 this month, and those are a wide variety of improving some translations, implementing some changes in the documentation, or building out new functionality into open metadata. So there's a lot of opportunities to get involved. If you're looking to expand your involvement as committing to open source, or really start and are looking for a good project to commit to open source for the first time, very welcome here. We had 222 new GitHub stars this month. A big increase in the amount of Slack community members. So that is growing quite fast. That is over 500 added in a month is quite high for us. So it's great to see that growth. It's a great place to ask questions about getting started with open metadata, maybe landing it on your laptop, what to do next once you get it installed. So we have a lot of good conversations going on there, and there's a lot of support, as Harsha mentioned. And then our Twitter and Meetup communities continue to grow as well. So we have here some graphics on the number of merged PRs week over week. There continues to be a rapid pace of development and pushing out new releases of open metadata throughout the month. And then the number of support posts continues to grow as well. So you can see a general trend here. And week over week, it continues to increase, as well as month over month. So if you compare the last 4 weeks from the last time we had a meeting to, say, April to May, we had 350 PRs added to open metadata over the past 4 weeks. Back in May, that was 220, right? So that's a pretty significant increase there. We had over 570 support questions in our Slack over the past 4 weeks. Back in May, that was 445. So both of those have increased by over 100, just in the span of 4 weeks since the spring, right? So wanted to continue to see that increase. We're here to help and get not only your questions resolved, but then turn those into PRs as well and get those as fixes that are growing our open source project. Here you can see a more deeper breakdown of some of those metrics that we're seeing within Slack. And I mentioned that there were 11 new committers into Open Metadata this month, and 16 total community contributions, right? These are, again, spanning, saw a lot of people doing a couple people doing some language translations that were localizing Open Metadata. So really appreciate those contributions. Seeing people fix some documentation, appreciate those as well. And then people adding new functionality to the project as well. So thank you all for your contributions. Again, this was quite high, I think, compared to May, compared to just the spring, over double the amount of community contributions compared to just a few short months ago. So if you have any questions about Open Metadata, any of the statistics that you just saw, or about that Series A announcement, please let us know. But with that, I'm going to hand over my screen to Mustapha. He's going to go over our community spotlight.
Thank you, Nick. You see my screen? Yeah. Okay. Well, actually, we in today's presentation, the target is to simply present you our how we handle the data landscape as a governance story. Basically, going from our perspective or our experience in data and our customers' needs. I'm Mustapha Fonsau. I'm senior architect, and I work for today as SME in Open Metadata for several customers. And basically, my job is to set up architectures, handling also integration of.
We can't see your screen, your side.
Sorry, I thought that I shared it. I do apologize. Okay. I'm sorry. So,
excellent.
Sorry. So I said that I'm Mustapha Fonsau, and I am
still can't.
Okay, sorry. I do apologize. So yeah.
Oh,
it's okay now?
Beautiful. Yes, thank you.
This is the live stream, guys. Sorry. So I said that it's about today I'm trying to present you how we recommend and how we integrate Open Metadata toward our customers, and how we leverage the new opportunities of 1.8 and what the upcoming 1.8 to 1.9, and how our customers and in our project actually we use AI, and how we use the full capabilities of MCP indeed. As I say, I'm a senior data architect, and let's go to the deep subject. Actually, the new role of data governance in data architecture is completely different than a few years ago. In the past, we had a data catalog, which is completely in a side, and we just use it as a dictionary, whatever. Whereas with Open Metadata, as we have first an openness, we can grab a maximum amazing possibilities of integration toward notification, toward key clock, and all the other tools, plus all the custom connectors that we can implement simply with a minimum of knowledge, I would say, of Python, I would say, to be honest. And today, since to the 1.8 version, we start to integrate data contracts, which are really close to ODCS approach. So our contracts, as the basic rule of SLA, etc., we easily figured out that we can, plus the MCP, we can leverage the whole life cycle of our data, from the moment that we produce it, creating the contract, until the moment that we start to do discovery, we do monitoring of data quality, handling, alerting, and for sure, getting all the improvement of data by using all the assets of the company, not only the ones that are related to our data, but all documentation that are in wiki or the tickets, etc., etc. As I said, all that drive us to a new word, which is GovAI. What is AI? Sorry. So what we do is that simply we use our AI LLM engine, which is handled in the company, in order to enhance data customer journey by first allowing data discovery, enrichment, but all that using the full capabilities of OpenMetadata MCP. How it comes. Basically, we will push to LLM all the assets plus all the company assets in order to leverage and cross all this data together in order to simplify to non-technical people the knowledge, and at the same time allow every new integration of metadatas and assets in general of the company in our data catalog as a new full insight. Basically, the idea is that the data governance cycle starts with data producers who bring up contracts, leverage them, push them, update them, whereas using the feedbacks of consumers or the feedbacks of data stewards to enrich data quality of the data and handling optimization of our data contracts. And at the end of the day, we have new needs, constantly new needs. Today with our customers, and we have two real cases that we handle today, we create new capabilities of using the open metadata as a source of truth, but a full view of high availability of the platform, of the resources, and at the same time, the ability to handle different languages. We have customers which are in Luxembourg, they talk Luxembourgish, so we handle data, assets, etc., without looking for a local translation, but we use the capabilities of the AI to use the generation of descriptions, documentation, and interpretation. So we have a kind of, not only a peer developer, but peer governance. We have an agent here as assistant for governance who will help us. But how we did do this trial in real world? Basically, we have a sample implementation that we used for our presentation. It went to using the LLM, the MCP, and our governance hub at the end of the day. Basically, how it comes. First, we collect we're using the MCP endpoints. We bring up all the assets and the descriptions from our open metadata. We push them to the LLM. We bring other assets which are broad, like wiki, as I said before here, etc. And we leverage a new generation of descriptions, tags, and new assets that we didn't expect from the beginning. And also, it reduces the time to market to leverage new descriptions, etc. And at the end of the day, we are able to update our tables, our descriptions, our tags, our glossary by handling new content. In addition, handling the specificity of the country, so the language indeed. So we can do that. We use it with Arabic, with French, with English, with Luxembourgish, and with other not used or usual languages, like I would say Tamil or whatever, and we apply them in our governance. So how it works? Here in our open metadata, we have a simple database that contains a set of assets. We have tables. Our tables contains they don't have any description. We have no tags associated to our data, and they would have the same thing for all my tables. At the same time, I said, well, we are using Alaska fishery commercial. This is really just a dummy sample. At the same time, we have in Wikipedia documentation about someone who did this job for us, who made Alaska salmon fishery. Okay, let's explore that, and let's use our small script, basic script that uses simply a set of informations like which language I want to use, and simply which wiki or resource I would use in order to collect this data. Basically, I would just simply tell him, go ahead, load for me my data. So the first thing I will grab and collect data from my wiki as assets. I will push them, and then once this is collected, we will start to profile tables. As I said here, we are working on the catch table, catch data, which is one of the tables, etc., etc. During that time, if I go to my OpenMetadata, I will start to see new content that will be coming. So for example, actually it's collecting data, etc. So while he will start now, he's doing profiling. He will go to OpenMetadata. He will start to grab. As I said, I'm using my local LLM agent, and he starts to generate glossary. He enriched my tables, and what is crazy, we are using simply. I'm waiting for the update. It will be MCP update, basically. So now he's checking his time, but I will just go straight to explore tables. As I said, I will go to, as the first one was catch data, as you see, content came. I have tags that are arriving. It's just an issue of the interface indeed. Yeah, there you go. You see MCP tags that are added. So he will refresh, and we are simply using the MCP module of OpenMetadata. But this content itself, it comes from Wikipedia, plus the knowledge that we had in our context of LLM that will enrich with the whole company assets. Let's imagine a company where I am, for example, today, we are working in energy. And this company has assets from everywhere. Business assets, data collected from competitors, etc., etc. And all this data, we want to make our data consumers understand what is it. So instead of waiting for doing a lot of meetings, collecting data, etc., our GovAI will allow us to enrich, enhance, and leverage this data. Sure, there is some side effects like hallucination, etc., of the LLM, but this is in the first layer. But more you will improve your context by data that you will push up. As I said before, there is LLM context that will be enhanced with new content that we'll collect. More we collect content, more we will enrich it, and more we have insights. I will just tell you something which is very funny, is that even ticketing feedbacks from tickets, we have some issues, we solve them, we find out what is the reason, why we changed this, whatever. All that will become a description that will help us enrich our content. And this is just in the version 1.8. And this version, we have data contracts. We don't have yet the interfaces. Once we will start to have also interfaces, we will start to have a 360-degree view of our data. And this, we already have 3 customers today that's where we implement the same thing. And honestly, we are really proud of the progression of OpenMetadata since while we already work on it. But this with the change of the 1.8, already the 1.7 was amazing, but the 1.8 completely changed the game, because we can do today a full lineage of our data explicitly from our CSV files. We take our bucket, we take our data, we take our data that are enriched, etc., and we will have a full lineage of this data end to end. And this using just LLM. We already did it for many customers, from data coming from CSV
Yeah, please. I think you maybe had one more slide, or is that?
No, that's it.
I see. I see. Excellent. Well, thank you. Yeah, thanks for that demo. That was an amazing presentation and a really great demo. I think it's really helps me brainstorming just like the possibilities of some of those new features that you mentioned that are just added to Open Metadata. I think it might be because of the data set that you were demoing on. I'm not sure, but I think one thing that came to mind was like leveraging what you built for migration, right? Like saying maybe you want to move from a different data governance tool into Open Metadata, but you already have years of tags built out on your assets, and you don't want to manually click through. Just
well, the big issue is that not only that, is that we have a lot of Word files, we have a lot of Excel files, we have a lot of wikis everywhere, we have websites, etc. So instead of doing scrapping, etc., let's let the LLM do the job.
Yeah. Yeah, I could, definitely see there, migrating data governance with migrating from one data warehouse to another. I already have these models built out, or these classifications built out, kind of mapping them from one service to another. So really appreciate this. I think we saw some things in the chat as well. Please let us know. If there's anything that helps you with your brainstorming, how you can leverage a similar setup with now that MCP server is embedded into Open Metadata. But Mustapha, thanks a lot for being here and for presenting that. I think you'll be staying on maybe for the rest of the meetup if anyone has any questions, or after this meetup, you can find Mustapha on the Open Metadata community Slack, and we can keep on digging into just what is possible now by pointing your data governance and embedding AI into it. Thanks again, Mustapha.
You're welcome.
Yes, I'm going to start sharing my screen, if you don't mind, for just a moment, because we have even more coming today in this month's Open Metadata Community Meeting. We're going to bring in Teddy here from Collate to talk about some recent updates that are coming to Collate and coming to Open Metadata that will improve the data quality tests that we have available, and improve some of the performance aspects of Open Metadata as well. So Teddy, please come in. Feel free to start sharing your screen. Looking forward to hearing from you as well.
All right, awesome. Thanks, Nick, for this introduction. So let me share my screen. Let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes.
All right, awesome. Well, hello everyone. So for those of you that are just joining today, so I'm Teddy. I've been with Collate for over 3 years now, and I focus mainly on the data quality part of the platform, so data quality and observability. And as Nick mentioned, so today we wanted to share with you some of the exciting new features that are coming up in 1.9. And so basically to kind of guide us into this 1.9 release, we met with different customers, different users from different background, technical or non-technical. And what we've seen users sharing with us again and again and again, and our experience throughout these years developing observability and data quality at Collate, is that there is a real trust issue in terms of the data quality, right? Can I really use this data when I'm making this decision? And then this lack of trust and this difficulty in trusting my data quality, it has a real cost and a real impact into for organization, right? Making bad decision can lead to real economic cost. We actually have like an amazing case study from Mango that's available on our website, where they are actually discussing exactly about this topic. And then on top of that, what we are seeing is that you have more and more data, and the size of the data inside organization is growing. So it's not just a matter of solving that data quality and that data observability problem. It's solving it at scale inside enterprise organization. And from this three element, what came out is three main pain points that we have identified, right? The first one being around limited resources, right? And having that centralized team that is responsible for managing a critical component of the organization, and kind of creating a resource bottleneck inside the organization. And on top of that, we see that these teams have to deal with more and more complex data set and larger data set inside the organization. And that makes a small group inside of the organization responsible for the data quality process, for the data observability process, inside your organization. And from these three pain points that we have identified through throughout the years working on this problematic, through talking with customers, talking with users, we basically decided that 1.9 should be a release that will lay the foundation for the observability part of Collate to answer and solve those pain points, right? And fundamentally transform how those elements are addressed in the market, right? So for this release, we oriented our development around three main elements, right? The first one being giving an answer to organization to do profiling and do data quality at scale, right? The second one being transforming the user experience that you see inside the platform, so that user experience is natural for any type of users, right? Not just technical users, but also non-technical users. And if you've been here through the past few Collate and OpenMetadata Meetup, you'll see that is a trend that we are focusing, right? With UI customization, refront of the UI, and now that effort is coming to the data quality and data observability side of the tool as well. And then the third one is providing you with an AI agent planner to basically automate the expertise inside your organization, right? So leveraging new technologies that have been available in the market and layering it on top of the knowledge graph that we have available inside Collate to then, expand that expertise inside your organization and allow people inside companies to then participate in the data quality effort. So let's go over all of those three pillars one by one, right? And we'll also have some little break with some demos so that we have a flow change. So for the first one, as I mentioned, so we have made available inside Collate for our Collate users in the 1.9 release, a Spark integration, right? So as a Collate user, you'll then be able to leverage your existing Spark cluster, integrate it with the Collate platform, so that you can now process the profiling and data quality data directly inside your Spark cluster, right? And that approach is in line with what we have done through the year. By leveraging your Spark cluster, we basically are respecting your data privacy, ensuring that your data never actually leave your infrastructure, and that only aggregated results are then fed back to Collate, right? And what we're trying to achieve here is giving you the opportunity to achieve scalability across all of your services inside the infrastructure, right? So when we look at what performance results improvement we've seen during our testing, and keep in mind that's using the smallest compute engine available inside AWS, right? So what we've seen using a MySQL database, right? Profiling the entire table for a table that has about 60 million rows using the built-in standard OpenMetadata/Collate profiling engine that will delegate the computation to the service itself. We saw that it took about 4 hours to profile that entire table in MySQL, right? We also use it against a smaller size MySQL cluster there. And when we are leveraging the Spark integration, we're bringing that profiling time down to 8 minutes, right? So you can see like a very, very significant improvement in terms of time that it takes to execute profiling and observability at scale there. When it comes to the next step, in 1.9, what we are going to ship, and that's going to be throughout 1.9 minor release, is going to add the integration for Postgres, add the integration for data lake, because that's a real bottleneck. How do I leverage a strong compute engine to profile and run data quality against my data lake table? So it can be like regular CSV file or whatnot. And then we'll be adding support for data quality as well, right? So that's the first pillar that we are going to address in 1.9. Now, when it comes to the second pillar, the second pillar was to give you open metadata users and Collate user a better experience when it comes to navigating the platform, right? And through different user interviews, so technical and non-technical, we basically identify 4 main pain points that users shared with us when it comes to navigating data quality tools in general, but also navigating open metadata data quality functionality, right? So what we kept in mind in terms of principle when addressing the UI redesign was to make sure that the right action for a user is obvious, right? And obvious just not for a technical user that's used to navigating complex tools that are a bit more technical, but for any type of users, right? Then the second point was to make sure that we are showing progress to you, right? Not just snapshot of how is my data doing today, but showing you progress. How is my data quality evolving throughout time, right? And then we wanted to bring familiar patterns, right? Patterns that you are used to with other tools that you love, but also patterns that you are used to when you are navigating Collate and open metadata, right? And then the final point was to really make sure we highlighted what matters in the tool, right? Now, what does this look like in 1.9? So let me navigate to my other screen, right? And we'll go through a typical flow that a data quality user may have seen in 1.8 and how is that transformed in 1.9, right? So here I have two tabs. This tab on the right here is the version 1.8. So that will be the version that you're currently the latest stable version. And then here I'm in sandbox beta, and I have the latest version available, right? So whenever I want to add a data quality test, I will first need to navigate to the table itself, right? And when navigating to the table, I will be landing on this specific tab, right? So I will then need to navigate to the data observability tab. And then from this tab, I will be able to select, do I want to add a table or column level test, right? And so that's the first hurdle that we've seen and that users have shared with us, right? Is if I select a table level test, but then want to actually implement a column level test, then what do I do, right? I then need to navigate back to the table and then select the other option, right? So that's the first hurdle that user shared with us, right? And then another thing that we've heard is that when I'm implementing my data quality test through this experience, I'm leaving the context of the table and I'm now focused inside a separate window, right? So here I can simply select the table. I can enter the information that I want. I can add tags, add glossary. And then once I click create, then I'm going to create the test case is going to be created. And then the next button, the next step that I see is to bring me back to my test suite, right? And here it's fair to assume that, as a user, I have set up my data quality test and then everything should run as expected, right? But that is not the case, right? The expectation is for you to add a pipeline that will then add a schedule. And then at that time, the data quality test will run, right? So you can see that experience, you are brought into a separate screen. Then you have to click one button to then click another button to be redirected to your data quality test, then navigate to a different tab, click a button to then generate your pipeline, right? So what we've seen is lots of click, different screen were brought out of context, right? So we wanted to resolve that experience by introducing something more natural as a user that will leverage some pattern that you may see inside other tool, right? So in the latest version, when I want to add a data quality test, I'll still be able to select, do I want a column or a table level test, right? But then instead of being brought out of context into a deeper screen, I will now have a two-quarter pan, let's call it a two-quarter pan. That will now allow me to have a single view of all the actions that I can take, right? And I can easily switch between table level or column level tests, right? I still have the ability to enter name, description, add the tag, add the glossary, and then I'll be able to select my my test type similarly to what I had before, right? But where it is different is that now, as a user, if there is no pipeline that is set for my data quality test, I will be warned that I must actually link and generate a pipeline, and I'll have that ability to create that pipeline directly on that screen, right? And we can select on demand, and then from there we can click create, and then in a single click, one screen, we now have generated our data quality test, right? So that is the first experience that we have changed inside Collate. Now, the second experience, when you are navigating to the data quality tab, here for Collate user, you'll be presented with a summary screen. For OpenMetadata user, generally you will have the by table screen that will show up, right? And here you can see vertical navigation and some information about my test by table, by test case, or by test suite, right? What we've heard is the concept of test suite wasn't clear. What's the difference between the by test suite and by table, right? And it's really just a logical grouping of information, right? Another point that we've heard is if I want to add a data quality test from that screen, I'm unable to do it, right? I have to navigate back to my table, add that data quality test, and go through that extensive process that we have seen, right? In the version 1.9, if you're navigating to the observability table, you will have a redefined summary section for Collate user, right? With clearer information, clearer grouping, more separation of metrics, so that you have access to the information that is the most relevant quickly, and that you can clearly see that information. Now you see we move to a horizontal navigation, replicating the experience that you are seeing inside entity resources, right? And now if you are looking at a test case quality, right, we'll explicitly say, hey, this data quality test is failing, right? Previously, we had little red square, little green square that sometimes created some confusion for non-technical user. And now what you will see at the top is the ability to add a data quality test directly from that screen, right? You'll have a similar experience to what we went through, but the only difference is that you'll have the ability to actually select which table you want to add that data quality test to, right? So you won't have to navigate back to your table, go through that extensive process. You can stay within the context of your data, right? And then the other elements that we introduce is grouping together the table and what is a bundle test suite, right? A bundle test suite is just a grouping of different data quality tests, right? So now when you're navigating to that test suite view, you'll be able to view your table suite or your bundle suite as you've seen them before, so that you have that information that is related, that is close together, right? And similarly to what you've had in the previous version, you'll have the ability to add data quality, create new bundle test suite, and add data quality test directly to this bundle test suite directly from that screen, right? Similar experience where you are not leaving the context of your data quality, right? All right, awesome. So that is it for our second pillar, right? So what we've seen so far, first pillar is integrating Spark with Collate so that you can then do data observability at scale for all of your services, right? Now it's not just a matter that I can profile my Snowflake or only my BigQuery table at scales because I'm leveraging their compute engine, but now you can do it with whatever services you have inside your organization. Second pillar that we've introduced is that new user experience, so that it's more natural and easier for your users to navigate the data quality user interface. Now, the third pillar that we are introducing, where we're laying the foundation to, is bringing intelligence to the data quality aspect of the platform, right? So we're starting today with our data quality planner agent, which is basically an integrated agent within Collate, right? That will leverage the entire knowledge graph of the platform, right? And bringing basically context-aware information so that when it generates data quality test, it has all the different elements related to your entity that will basically allow it to generate data quality tests, right? And our idea is that we don't want to be, what we want to do, is like democratize the expertise, right? You shouldn't have to be an expert in your domain or a technical person to be able to add data quality tests, right? Data quality tests and that journey should be a shared responsibility inside the organization for technical and non-technical users, right? And so how is that going to translate? Sorry, we have a small demo as well. Basically, you'll have the integrated chat experience inside Collate, and I believe we may have some more sharing session about that aspect later on. And you'll still also have the ability to run that agent as a scheduled background agent, right? So today we have the set of APIs that we are going to showcase. So if I'm navigating to, so here I have Collate platform running locally. And so I see I have two tables, so my team customer table and my team staff table, right? They both have tier 5 and tier 1, and they have no data quality tests that are associated with them. And then we can navigate to the explore page, filter on tier 1 and tier 5, and then we can confirm that we indeed just have those two tables that have that information, right? Perfect. So now what I can do, right? We have set up or agent integration that is going to talk with an LLM provider. And here what we're introducing is the ability for you to, if you have your own LLM provider that is set up inside your organization with your own API key and whatnot, is the ability for you to bring that API key directly inside Collate so that whenever an agent interacts with an LLM, it's the LLM that your organization has vetted, has some security and privacy contract in place, right? So that is very important for us. And of course, we can also provide our own LLM for anyone that do not have any contract in place. So here we're just going to ask it to generate some data quality test for a table inside, my entity that is a database, and basically the database is e-commerce DB, right? And we can see that those two tables, they belong to the e-commerce DB, right? And we want to do it only for tier 1 and tier 5 table, right? So now I'm going to run it, and we're going to pray the God of demo that everything goes as expected. But basically, it will send a request. So here, for example, we know that there is a failure. It is going to tell us, hey, I was unable to do that because I couldn't validate that information or that information, right? And that is okay because we can simply run it, rerun it, and then, it's not going through the process, explaining to us at each step what it's doing, right? So for example, in that case, we see that it's fetching the entities and that now it's, creating some data quality tests for this and this entity, right? And so we let it think through, generate whatever data quality test it deems important based on the context that we have passed inside the information. Now our call has completed, right? We can go check the message, and in the message, we see that we have created 10 data quality tests for 2 entities, right? The 2 entities that have tier 1 and tier 2. Now we can go back to our table and validate that our agent has actually generated our data quality test. And now we can see that we have data quality tests that are now added and available inside the platform, right? And what is interesting with the integrated agent is that it has full context of the entity that you are generating data quality for, right? You can see the names are actually relevant names, right? They are not just IDs that are passed, right? And we can see that, for example, it understood, okay, I have an email field, so I want to make sure that, the pattern of that field respect what should be an email address, right? And so we can explore like this, the different type of data quality tests that it generated. For example, it understands that, well, I have, a specific table that has some updated time field, so I need to check for data quality freshness, right? And similarly, it decided to do some null check uniqueness based on data constraint, and also data value lengths to be between, and it understands some information that should be set and the parameters that should be set for this data quality test, right? So that is the third pillar and the foundation that we are laying to bring that data quality test, that data quality experience inside Collate to the next level, right? So that's it for me, and I will pass it back to Nick. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you, Teddy. Thank you, Mustapha, and thank you, Harsha, as well, right? So I think we covered a lot of ground this month. Thanks everyone for attending the Open Metadata Community Meetup here for July. I think you definitely saw some parallels in those two demonstrations, right? There's a lot of rich data available in people's open metadata instances. So how can we have AI leverage those to automate some of these processes? I think that we're going to be very soon getting your guys' hands on some of these new capabilities and making things that are easy in open metadata, hopefully much, much easier. And then doing them not just easier, but also, as Teddy mentioned, at scale, right? So really looking forward to everyone getting their hands on this and a lot more coming from open metadata. You can always see what is available and what's coming in open metadata in these community meetups. We do have some links here on my screen that I'm going to copy and paste in the chat. You can see the open metadata repo and kind of the status of some of those PRs that we were talking about at the beginning of our presentation at the link that I just provided. And then you can join the conversation on Slack as well. Any kind of support that you may need, any sort of ideas that you have on how to implement MCP or implement AI to automate, to streamline, to scale your open metadata instance to make things easier, we would love to hear from you there. But thanks again for attending. Looking forward to providing more updates in August. But until then, those are two great links to keep up with everything that's happening in open metadata. So thank you all again for attending and hope to see you all again very soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.